On today's episode of the Bourbon Bites podcast, we're talking about the best deals in bourbon, from high-proof hitters to bottom shelf bangers. Plus, we'll be talking about some of the best Black Friday deals on video games. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 7th episode of the Bourbon Bites podcast, lucky number 7. It looks like I've made it far enough to make this an official thing. We've been going every single week, so thank y'all for listening in, and thanks for coming back this very special Black Friday episode. So I'm actually planning on putting this out late Thursday night, so whether you are hunting for good deals in bourbon or the latest video game sales, make sure to listen to this first, because I got all the info you need right here. But before we get into either of those things, we do have some bourbon news to share. The first being a brand new Old Carter release. So huge shout out to our friends Adam and Brandon. They let me know about this new release. It is called their very small batch straight bourbon whiskey. It apparently hit the shelves just this past week. It is a blend of 3 different barrels that were carefully blended and selected by Mark and Sherry, of course, who are the masterminds behind Old Carter. So once those barrels were selected, it sounds like they presented these to their distributors, who made a final selection of these new, very small batch options. I don't think we know anything about pricing, but they do say that they will be releasing these in all of their current markets, hopefully in time for the holiday season. And I've had a few people ask me to, have them on a stream at some point. I would love to. I just don't know them. So I may need to find someone that has a connection there and maybe introduce me, because I would love to, just talk to them and actually get a chance to try these. Because people always ask me, what's the Old Carter that I recommend, or which batch of the bourbon or American do I recommend? And I'm always like, go talk to my friend Brandon, because he's the Old Carter guy. But yeah, I absolutely want to try more of these, and these sound pretty good. So let me know if you guys hear any more about them. I've just seen this on their official Instagram page. But I hope more info will come soon, and I'm curious to see how they differ depending on the different distributors that they're working with. The next piece of news comes from a TTB filing. Big shout out to Cumming Whiskey on Instagram. They are the best source for the breaking news in terms of new filings. But the new Bardstown Bourbon Company Discovery Series number 7 came out with the label. And if you haven't seen these, they break down exactly what went into each batch on the TTB label. So we get a little sneak peek at this next batch. This one has me super intrigued, because not only are they sourcing Kentucky bourbon, but they have a 100% corn whiskey from Ontario that's 12 years old, and that'll make up 21% of this batch. So 56% of this is still Kentucky bourbon. There's 2 different mash bills, but they're both 12 years old. So that's still going to be the base, but I'm really curious to see what this 21% of 12-year-old 100% corn Canadian whiskey does, because that's something that I'm not super familiar with. I have no idea where that's coming from. Maybe some of our Canadian listeners will let me know. But in addition to that, 15% of it is 7-year-old Indiana rye. Now this mash bill, it's 51% rye mash bill, so it's a low rye mash bill, which is super interesting. It's not necessarily the typical 95.5 rye. And lastly, there is 8% of a 17-year-old Tennessee whiskey. Now, the Tennessee whiskey kind of caused some contention with last year's release. I think a lot of people weren't expecting to see that much Tennessee whiskey, which we most likely know is George Dickel, in the blend. Thankfully, they've cut their percent in half compared to last year. Last year, it was 16% of this Tennessee whiskey. Now it's only 8%. So I think that might help tone down some of those minerality notes we all get from a lot of George Dickel products. So maybe that'll work out in its favor. Hopefully people like this batch a bit more, because I know there weren't a lot of people that liked batch 6. So I do know I have some samples on the way from Bardstown Bourbon Company. I have no idea what they are. Maybe not batch 7, because like I said, that's just a label. I don't know if they even have, that bottled yet. So we'll see. That should be coming next week. So I'll either let you guys know on a stream or on the podcast what those samples are. But I'm excited. It's been a minute since I've had a Bardstown Bourbon Company sample sent to me. So thank you to Brandon with their team for sending those over. All right, so since it's Black Friday, I wanted to break down a list of what I consider the best deals in bourbon. So, as y'all know, whiskey varies in prices depending on where you are, what state you're in, what country you're in. So, we're not going to talk about specific deals in specific stores. However, I'm going to break this down into 3 different categories that I think you'll get the most bang for your buck when shopping for bourbon. So we're going to start with my favorite category, and it's actually the category that the whiskey I'm reviewing today is from. I'm calling this high proof and high value. So not only are all whiskeys on this list under $100, but they're also either barrel proof or high proof releases from brands that I think they're incredibly undervalued. Now, don't tell the brands this, but I think these are some of the best deals, and one of these is actually what I'm reviewing on this episode of the podcast. So I'm pulling out my new bottle that I just picked up today of Rare Breed Bourbon from Wild Turkey. So I haven't had a bottle of this in a while, and I know I said I wouldn't talk about, store-specific deals. However, I will mention I went to a store in my area that is doing a discount on all of their products, where they are taking off the cost of sales tax. So they're discounting everything down about 9 or 10%, depending on what sales tax is, which, makes it a good time to go run and get some standards for your bar. So I, of course, got some vodka, some gin as well, because we were getting low on those, but I had to grab Wild Turkey Rare Breed because this bottle was only $45.99. So that's the first one on my list. Let me go ahead and pop this cork as a fresh crack, and let's talk about Rare Breed. That was a powerful cork pop. I don't know if y'all heard that. I also didn't think about this, but what better time to drink Wild Turkey than right before Thanksgiving? Well, technically, I'm recording on Wednesday, but I'm definitely going to drink more of this Rare Breed on my stream tomorrow night. By the way, I guess if you're listening to this, it's already happened, but I did a community Thanksgiving live stream over on YouTube on Thursday night. I'm inviting a lot of members from the Whiskey Tube community. I'm inviting viewers and patrons of the show to come on, say hello, and it should be a really fun time. So make sure to check out the replay of that over on YouTube, youtube.com/bourbonbites. So when I was coming up with my high proof, high value list, this was my first thought. Barrel proof bourbon. This bottle is 116.8 proof. There are a couple different, older ones that are, lower, higher proof. I've heard rumors of a new one as well. However, this is barrel proof Wild Turkey for under $50. Wild Turkey makes a couple other appearances on the other 2 categories of these best values in bourbon. But I had to mention Rare Breed first because, it's really rare. It's rare that you're going to find a barrel proof bourbon anywhere, less than $50. Even some of my favorites are above that. A couple of honorable mentions for this list I wanted to include, but I know they're harder to find. One of my all-time favorite bourbons ever is Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and that recently went up to around $70. So it's still great value. If you see it, definitely buy it, especially if it's this year's C921 batch. I did a review of that over on YouTube, and it's just absolutely fantastic. But yeah, so I don't have that on this list officially because I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, I can't get that. So I totally understand. And another one that also is an honorable mention is Jack Daniel's single barrel proof bourbon for around $60. It pops up every now and then. So I definitely recommend grabbing it if you see it. However, I know it's one that's harder to find. So I'm trying to keep most of the ones on this list approachable and easy to find-ish, depending on your area, because I know certain places can't get other, certain Buffalo Trace products or whatever. So the variety of bourbons on this list are going to be very wide, and that is thanks to my incredible Whiskey and Gaming Lounge Discord community. I actually asked them for suggestions. A good majority of these are from them, my viewers of the show. Thank y'all so much for giving me ideas. If you guys want to be involved in our Discord, it's such a fun community. You can go to bourbonbites.com. There's a link to it there. Everyone's invited. If you're a patron, you get access to cool VIP rooms like our Hangouts, which are also a ton of fun. And while we're on the subject, Patreon is where I get a lot of my ideas for the channel. So if you do want to be a part of making this show happen, the YouTube stream or the podcast, you can support me on patreon.com/bourbonbites for as little as $2 a month. And you can make a big impact on this channel. So just wanted to plug that there. But again, this list is brought to you by my viewers and my Discord members. So before we move on, I got to get into my review of this Rare Breed because it's been so long since I've had it. I don't really know why. I think I often forget how good of a value it is for the, under $50 price tag. It just slips my mind a lot. So we're going to find out tonight. This might become a new regular on my bar if I love it. Let's find out. Let's go ahead and give it a nose. Oh man, Wild Turkey. It's so spicy. It's the absolute perfect fall whiskey. I've always said that, especially Wild Turkey 101. It's just those bright baking spices are up front on the nose. And you can tell there's some proof on this one because it does tingle the nose hairs a bit. There's a bit of cinnamon on the nose, and it almost is a bit earthy, I would say. Not like sulfury or anything like that, but there's a bit of, maybe, it could be just how I'm interpreting the wood on the nose. It smells really, really oak forward, which isn't a note I typically get on Wild Turkey. So maybe, like I said, it's been so long since I've had Rare Breed. Maybe I've just been missing that. So that's very exciting. Let me go ahead and give this a taste because it's been way too long, my friend. Cheers, guys. Oh yeah, wow. There's a lot more oak on that than I expected. I guess I've just been drinking a lot of Wild Turkey 101, which is, a little bit younger. That I've forgotten that some of the older Wild Turkey products has that really rich, maybe a little bit of like a dried tobacco note, but blended very, very well with a nice rich oak. It's not tannic at all. It's not over oaked like, some older bourbons can be. It just feels very mature and very balanced. And like I said, the oak complements the spice and like the tobacco note very, very well. It doesn't, overpower it like certain whiskeys do. Yeah, on second sip, after I've gotten kind of used to that oak aspect to it, there's a nice sweet, like, fruitcake kind of note as well. It complements the baking spices really well. It's kind of like, again, Thanksgiving in a glass. I think that's a very appropriate description for Rare Breed. It finishes a bit with like a dried fruit kind of note, maybe like a raisin. It's not an exceptionally long finish. It is 116 proof, so even it's barrel proof, it's not as high proof as some of the other ones on this list. But it's actually way better than I remember it, and I'm a little mad at myself. Why haven't I been buying this regularly? Oh yeah, I'm going to be enjoying sipping on that for a while, and I'm so glad that I included this on my list of best values in bourbon. That's an exceptional bottle for $46. I mean, I'm going to have to buy some more, especially during this sale. But there are quite a few other whiskeys on my high proof, high value list. The next one is also, sometimes hard to find depending on your area, but I don't think it's as hard to find as ECBP or Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof. I think this one's a little more available. And that is 1792 Full Proof, especially if it's a store pick. These have been popping up semi-regularly in my area. There's been a few picks of them. I know K&L Wine and Spirits has done several picks of it. I actually have a bottle that's a private selection from Costco, which wasn't expecting to be good, but it's absolutely fantastic. I'm not the biggest 1792 fan in general, but these foolproof releases are where it's at. I know a lot of people may prefer the Bottle and Bond, which is a little more affordable, not necessarily easier to find. That was another one that was recommended on Discord, but I think, anything 1792, I mean, first of all, the bottle's beautiful. If you're gifting it to someone, it's an absolutely gorgeous gift. But yeah, the foolproof at $50, I mean, that's just as good of a deal as Rare Breed, in my opinion. It just depends on your preference and how available it is in your area. The next one is a brand that I don't speak too much on the channel of because it's not one that I've loved, but it's one that is so beloved in the bourbon community, and that is Old Forester 1920. So I've tried this several times. I'm gonna have to revisit it soon. I try it like every 6 months or so, just to make sure I don't like it. I don't know what it is I don't like about it either, but I know so many people are big fans of this bottle, so I had to include it on the list. I checked today at Total Wine. It was $46, so exact same price as Rare Breed, 115 proof. It isn't labeled as barrel proof, but I mean, $46 for a very well-aged Old Forester. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. And I wanted to include two sub $40 bottles on this list. One is a cask strength product. If you are a fan of wheated whiskeys or wheated bourbons, my go-to high proof, high value pour is Maker's Mark Cask Strength. So this is regularly about $38 in my area. However, it occasionally will go on sale for around $30. Or you can get two of the 375 milliliter bottles of it for around 15 or 16 each. So essentially making it, $30. This whiskey has become my go-to bar cocktail pour. So I have this on my little cocktail shelf where I use to make old fashions, Manhattans, and all other kinds of cocktails. I do enjoy cocktails quite a bit. I wish I was a little more skilled with, mixology, but I always, or if I'm going to default to any bourbon for a cocktail, it's going to be Maker's Mark Cask Strength. It's a combination of high proof, lots of sweetness, which I think works really well with like an old fashioned or Manhattan. And it's just a great value. I mean, oh my gosh, $30 to $38. I mean, if you like a good wheated bourbon, skip the Wellers. I mean, they have their place. Weller 107 is a great pour. Weller Full Proof is also great. But how often are you going to find that for under $40? So that's why Maker's Mark makes my list. And finally, for the high proof, high value pours, I have to give a shout out to one of my first loves in whiskey, Old Grandad 114. This is a $30 bottle released at 114 proof from Jim Beam, and it's just consistent. It's basically the same mash bill as Basil Hayden, which I've learned thanks to people on Discord. So it's, if you are a fan of like the, I guess, smoother Jim Beam products, this turns it up to 114. So I think it's spicy, it's rich. They also have a bonded version of it, which makes it into another category, which we will speak about too. But first, let's move on to the second category I've made of this list. And this doesn't have a clever name, but the best deals in mid-range bourbons. So I consider mid-range, between 30 and 50. And a lot of this kind of overlaps with the high proof, high value. However, these are ones that are, a little more approachable proofs if you're not a big fan of high proof whiskeys like I am. So the first one on this list is one that I forget about a lot, but it was actually one of the first bourbons that got me into exploring and being okay with, complex flavors, but at a lower proof. And that is Michter's US 1 bourbon, or just Michter's bourbon. They also have an American whiskey for the same price. It's about $45. It's lower proof, but I think that whiskey is so approachable. It's so friendly. And especially if you're, introducing someone to whiskey, you're getting a gift for someone that's curious about it, but hasn't really explored much. Michter's bourbon is just so good. Now, there are the more limited releases from them, which I am a big fan of as well. But just their US 1 bourbon, which is just their standard bourbon, it's on the shelves in most places, and it's really solid. I mean, I think the only, letdown about it would be maybe proof, which in that case, look at my previous list. But I think it's a very, very solid bourbon, and yeah, I definitely recommend that one. Next up in mid-range is a shout out to a single barrel product. This is Four Roses single barrel. So this one's actually, I thought it was a bit more expensive than it was, but I saw it today. It's only $40, at least in my area. So this is not the, barrel proof selection like we see, the more premium $80 to $100 bottles. This is just their standard 100 proof Four Roses, but it's a single barrel. It comes in a beautiful bottle, and it's only around $40. I mean, I'm not the biggest Four Roses fan, kind of similar with Old Forester. It's just not quite my flavor profile, but I mean, so many people are Four Roses fans. If I had to pick a Four Roses product personally, I would definitely pick up the Small Batch Select. That one's closer to $60, but I've been very, very impressed with pours of that one. I've actually had a couple bottles myself, so that's what I would gravitate towards. But I mean, the single barrels at 100 proof, $40 are a fantastic, mid-range deal. So coming back to Wild Turkey, because I told y'all I like turkey, we got to mention Russell's Reserve 10-year bourbon. So this isn't the single barrel, which they are great. The 10-year bourbon is $33. Now, again, not that high of proof, but you have a 10-year bourbon for under $40. And the only thing that kind of really compares with that, age-wise and proof-wise really, is Eagle Rare, which is around $30, if you can find it, because y'all know it's always hard to find Eagle Rare or Buffalo Trace, at least depending where you are. Southern California, it's like all over the shelves in like grocery stores. But in South Carolina, man, you cannot find any Buffalo Trace products. So I want to include that kind of like an honorable mention. But both Russell's and Eagle Rare, I mean, they're just such good bottles for the price. I mean, it's hard to beat $33 for 10 years old. And the last category of the best deals in bourbon is just called budget bottles. So these are not necessarily bottom shelfers, because some of these are in like the mid-20s range, but they're ones that just drink way better than they should at their cost. The first one is a bottle I just finished on my own. It's Evan Williams Single Barrel, another single barrel product. This is $26 in my area. Not quite as old as Eagle Rare, but I'm a bit of a Heaven Hill fanboy. It's even at the 8 years, which is what a lot of the single barrels are. I just think it's exactly what I want in a good budget bottle. I always keep one around. Like I said, I just finished mine. I need to grab another one. But it's traditional Heaven Hill. It's classic, but man, it has all the nuances of a single barrel bourbon. Especially with these recent releases, they've really been nailing that flavor profile and just making a consistently good product, even though it is single barrel. Also backtracking a little bit, but it's another expression from the brand, Old Grandad Bonded, which is a 100 proof expression of Old Grandad. Sometimes it's a bit easier to find than the 114, but that one's only $25. Again, same mash bill as like a Basil Hayden's, but higher proof and a lot more bang for your buck there. And another one suggested many times by our friend Fred Gilbert, who is a patron of the channel. He recommends Old Forester Signature 100 proof. So this is usually around $23, and I really, really wanted to grab a bottle of this to review for this podcast, actually. But it was sold out at Total Wine this morning, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of hunting for that one. Even though it's such a common bottle, I was very surprised that it was sold out. But Fred, don't worry. I'll get to that eventually, and I will review it for you, because I know you've been wanting me to try that for months now. But something that's available everywhere, and I think everyone should own a bottle of it, especially around Thanksgiving, is Wild Turkey 101. You know Wild Turkey had to make my list, other than, it's already been on it twice, but Wild Turkey 101, 101 proof, not age dated, but man, this bottle is usually under $20, or right around $20 depending on your area. It is just a fantastic bourbon for the price. One of the best, $20 bottles I've ever seen. And I literally have a handle of it in my in my cabinet. I keep handles of rum and vodka and things up there for cocktails, but I have a handle of Wild Turkey 101. That's definitely coming out on the stream this week. So I already have it. I'm pulled down for tomorrow. So I am so in love with Wild Turkey 101. It's just spicy, but it's also it's a bit younger than the Rare Breed, so it's a lot sweeter. It's just a solid, just daily drinker, and I think it has a bad reputation, I guess, from a lot of older people that grew up drinking it in college because it was high proof. But I do encourage you to revisit it because I think it has a lot going for it. And the last two whiskeys on this list are so affordable. They are both around $16. One of them was actually the first bourbon I ever bought, and I've told this story a couple times, but Evan Williams 1783, which is their small batch. They just recently had a rebranding. They put it out at a new proof, but either the old bottle or the new bottle, it is just a solid entry-level bourbon. Honestly, I think it's even above entry-level, especially this new release. It's smooth and approachable, but it's complex in that it brings out a little bit more than your typical bottom shelfer. Even compared to the Black Label Evan Williams, this thing is way more interesting. And I think it's, a great, if you are brand new to bourbon and you were like, I want to get into this bourbon thing, pick up Evan Williams 1783, especially if it's in the pretty bottle. The old bottle was very boring and looked very outdated, so the new bottle's a lot more like a Jack Daniel's kind of bottle. So if you see that bottle, definitely grab it, especially if it's around $16. And in that same vein, if you prefer something a bit more smooth, Rebel 100, which was formerly Rebel Yell. This is put out by Luxro Distillery, but it's actually sourced from Heaven Hill. It's released at 100 proof. And it's, again, also only $16. This is similar to a Larceny, but almost half the cost, really. And higher proof. We don't know the age, but to me, Rebel 100 even drinks older than Larceny. So I think that's kind of one of the most undervalued bourbons on this list. And that's why I'm putting it last. So maybe, if there's a executive listening to this podcast and they're going to change prices based on what Cliffy has to say, don't change that one. Please, hopefully they've already clicked off this podcast by now. But hopefully you haven't, and hopefully you've followed me on whatever podcast platform you are listening to me on. Seriously, every follow helps a ton. It makes me know that you guys want to listen to more episodes of this, and if you want it, I'll keep it coming. Just like this Rare Breed, because I am going to go in for another sip. Now where's the sweet potato casserole? I'm so excited for Thanksgiving. So now that we've talked about the best deals in bourbon year-round, it is Black Friday. So we're going to talk about some very specific but incredible deals in video games. So I know a lot of you guys are all over the place in terms of PC gaming, console, Nintendo. So I kind of selected the best of each of these platforms and the best deals I saw. Now these are always ever changing, so depending on when you're listening to this, these may have been already be expired or sold out. But at the moment, these are all up for these prices. So some of these I'm gonna probably pick up myself right after recording this. So we'll start with everyone's favorite, or not necessarily, that just completely discredited everything I just said. We'll start with a lot of people's favorite, Nintendo, particularly the Nintendo Switch, which if you do not have one of these yet, you are in luck, because there is a new bundle out. It is the Nintendo Switch, Mario Kart 8, and Switch Online 3 months access to that. And that bundle is $299 this Black Friday. Normally that would equate to about $357, all of that added together. But $299 for all of that is a fantastic deal and a perfect time to make the jump to Switch if you haven't. Now that deal is currently available at Target, Best Buy, and Walmart, maybe Amazon as well. Amazon does a good job with matching Black Friday deals, just whether it's, movies or video games, they always are really good about matching. So check Amazon, but if it's not at Amazon, definitely check out those 3 stores because it's definitely the right time to buy a Switch. In terms of games, there have been a lot of sales over the past week with Nintendo Switch games. So both Amazon and GameStop have put up deals on first-party Switch games. These apparently dropped down to around $27 at one point this week. However, I'm looking at it now and they're around $35 to $40. But there are the classic Nintendo games. Like I said, if you're making the jump to Switch right now, you can get some of the best first-party games at a fraction of their original price. You can get games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Paper Mario, Xenoblade Chronicles, Fire Emblem, and much, much more. So check GameStop and Amazon, especially if you are new to Switch. You can load up on all the classics and all the most beloved games right away at a very, very good price. So moving on to my platform of choice, if it's not Nintendo or PC, and that's PlayStation. By the way, if you are not yet topped up on your PlayStation Plus membership, that's on sale at Amazon, Target, and Best Buy for $40. This is normally $60, so definitely a good time to top that. I think you can actually, even if it's not expired yet, you can go ahead and load it on your account to add an additional year to when it's supposed to expire. So definitely don't miss out on that, especially if it's coming up on the expiration of that. In terms of exclusives, the new game Deathloop that just came out in September, it's not always going to be an exclusive, but for now it's a console exclusive with the PS5. That is on sale. I couldn't believe it. I had to do a double take. So that game is only $30. This literally just came out. It was $60 at release. This is at Best Buy. And I don't know too much about this game. I remember the trailers and they've been teasing it forever. I do know that it is a first-person shooter, which y'all know I'm not the best at. So that's probably why I haven't researched much about it. But I know it's got a lot of good scores. Right now it has a 10 out of 10 on IGN and it has an 88% Metacritic score. So it's a very well-received game and getting it for half the price. I mean, that's probably one of the best video game specific deals I've seen so far for this Black Friday. Also, another new game that I'm very excited about that also is on sale this Black Friday is Hot Wheels Unleashed. This game looks so fun. I'm a fan of racing games, but particularly ones that are a little more, not realistic. So I like my Mario Karts. And I used to have an old Hot Wheels game for PC, when I was really young, probably 10 or 11. That one was called Hot Wheels Stunt Track Driver. So this will be my first Hot Wheels game since that. And I think this one looks so much better, obviously, after 23 years have passed. I mean, kind of would expect that. This is on sale for half price for the PS4 version, so it's only $25 at Amazon and GameStop. The PS5 and Xbox versions are $30, so still on sale for $20 from the retail price on it. So I'll have to see if there's a PC deal, because if it's on PC, that's my platform of choice. I'm definitely going to buy that, because I've been following that game for a while. So definitely, if I can get it at a discount, why not? A couple other games that are on sale for PlayStation are Far Cry 6, which is the latest release in the Far Cry franchise. That one is only $35 on PS5, $40 on Xbox, so it's on sale on both of them, and that's at Amazon. Also, if you have not yet picked up last year's edition of Assassin's Creed, this one's called Valhalla. This is on sale for PS5 and Xbox for only $20. And onto the Xbox deals. Now, these are not necessarily game deals, but most of them are Game Pass deals. So that's their, subscription where you can get access to a bunch of games. There is a 3-month Game Pass Ultimate available for $25, which is a discount of $20, and that's at Amazon, Target, and GameStop. There's also a Game Pass for PC, which is another 3 months, and that's only $1 for new users only. You can also get access to Game Pass Ultimate for 1 month for $1 as well if you are a new subscriber. So definitely if you've been wanting to try it out, I mean, $1 for, whether it's 3 months on PC or 1 month on Xbox, definitely gives you a chance to try it out and see if it's for you. And there's only one exclusive for Xbox that I am very, very excited to see on sale. This is the Halo Master Chief Collection. So technically this is Xbox and PC, so I would obviously pick it up on PC because I don't have an Xbox. But this is on sale for $20. It's normally $40, so half price. This is a collection of 6 Halo games. So if you've not yet jumped into Halo like me, I've played a little bit but not very much, or you're a longtime fan, definitely pick this up because $20 for 6 iconic games, I mean, it's an absolute no-brainer for me. I'm definitely going to grab that one. But I do want to mention, make sure to check your online stores, whether it's your Nintendo Switch online shop, your PlayStation store, or even, Steam or Humble Bundle, which is where I buy a lot of games at. They are all doing big Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales. Make sure to check those first, especially if you don't really care if something's digital or physical. Check there first because usually those deals are even better than these physical deals that I've been mentioning so far. If you're in the market for gaming accessories, Razer has up to 40% off a lot of their peripherals. From gaming mouses to keyboards to headsets, it's all on sale. And most of that's available on Amazon. So definitely check those out if you're in the market for those. I've also seen a lot of deals on gaming monitors and gaming laptops from all different brands. And lastly, there's one more gaming deal that I'm really on the fence about, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. If any of you guys have an Oculus Quest 2, that is on sale for $300, which is the normal price for the 128GB version, but it does come with a $50 gift card. Now, this is available at tons of different stores. It's at Target, it's at Amazon, Best Buy, Newegg, or even directly from Oculus themselves. It's just the $50 gift card goes towards whatever, store you buy it from. So if you buy it at Amazon, you get an Amazon gift card. If you buy it on Oculus, you get an Oculus Store gift card. I've been on the fence about buying an Oculus Quest because, as some of you know, I only have one arm, so I've always been really worried about motion controls because I know a good majority of games require you to use both handheld, what do they call, motion controllers or whatever they're called. So I've been like, is it going to be worth it or should I just hold off? But man, I really feel like this is the time to get this one. It's been out since last October and they didn't upgrade it this year. They did double the storage on it, but I feel like this might be the time for me to get it. Y'all let me know, do you think I'll enjoy it if I can't, fully play a good majority of games? Or do you think I should sit it out and just wait till the Quest 3 whenever that comes out? Or, or just an even better deal on this. So let me know on either Discord or you can send me an email, contact@bourbonbites.com, and let me know your thoughts if you think I'll enjoy it. But that wraps up this week's episode. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving and I hope your holiday Black Friday weekend goes well. Hopefully you find some deals in both bourbon and video games. But most of all, continue to be thankful for your friends and family and just not just on Thanksgiving, but year round. So thank y'all. And thank you for listening to the Bourbon Bites podcast, a whiskey podcast with a gaming twist. I'm Clifton. Cheers. And I'll talk to y'all next week.